Alright, today I'm going to teach you how to make claps and a few other pieces of percussion like cowbells, rimshots. Actually, I'll run you through the list of what we're going to make in just a second. But if you haven't already, I recommend checking out my other sound design tutorials. I've gone over how to make kicks, 808s, and hi-hats. This tutorial is going to be a bit faster and a bit more complicated. So if you're having troubles following along, I'd go back to those first. Alright, so the exact list of what we're going to make is a clap, a clav, I don't know exactly how you'd say it, a cowbell, like a snare rim shot, and then snaps. So I'm going to use these samples as examples because you can learn a lot from examples. So here is the 909 clap. It's a pretty iconic sound, and we're going to use it to help us make our own clap. So the first thing we want to look at is you can see the volume envelope here with this, and that's important. And then the next thing is I'm going to use a EQ just to see the frequency spectrum. There's a lot of different plugins you can use to like see this kind of thing. Can't even see it up here, but we can get a good idea of what the sound looks like, and that gives us a lot of information. And so that now that we have that information, we're going to go in and get to work. I'm going to be doing this in Citrus today. There's lots of different synthesizers you can do this with. The main thing you need is volume envelope, and then a noise generator or noise sampler, and then filters, although you could obviously use filters as like external plugins after the fact, but I find it useful to have it all together, but it's up to you. Also, if you want a free synthesizer, I recommend checking out Vital. It'll have everything you need and it's free. So in Citrus, I'm going to put a note down there, and then I'm going to basically copy the volume envelope that we saw, which was something like this. It might have actually been shorter. I don't know the exact milliseconds of it, but if I wanted to, I could figure it out and then like copy it almost exactly, but it's not that big of a deal. So that's basically what we're going to have for now. And I'm going to turn the noise up because there's a noise generator here, and then send it to a filter. And then I'm going to use a bandpass. I'm going to turn the resonance up a bit, maybe there. Then, I don't know, have the cutoff frequency maybe there. And then I'm going to send it to the next filter and do a high pass, and then turn the resonance up quite a bit. Okay, so that's going to be the basics of it, but from there, we're going to tweak things to make it a little closer to the 909 clap, just to show you what you can do, basically. So if you'll remember, the 909 clap was a lot flatter here, so we're going to be boosting the high end. Let's see, I think I cut a little too high here, because it took away a bit of the power behind the clap. Just tweaking stuff until I get it to sound quite the way I want it. And that's pretty much how sound design works. It's a lot of tweaking stuff. I think I want these more like that. There we go. That sounds a bit more like what I want. And then the last thing that kind of makes the 909 clap sound the way it does is reverb. So I'm just going to throw reverb on here just to show what it sounds like. But normally I would save the sample without reverb just in Edison or Audacity or whatever plugin you have that you can record audio into. So, you know, I would normally save it just like that. That would be my clap. I mean, I don't really need another clap, so I'm not going to save it right now. And then reverb. Let's see. So the reverb would be centered. Something like that. And then the decay's a lot shorter, but it's short in a way that I can't really copy with this. So what you could do is use a limiter here and then basically noise gate it. And then I don't know the exact way they did the reverb, but I mean, that's pretty similar. Probably the closest I'm going to get with Fruity Reverb too. Sounds like there's probably some saturation on the reverb. You know, a lot of fine tuning that really isn't necessary, so I'm not exactly going to get into it. But, I mean, I guess what I could do is probably put distortion on it and then... But yeah, that's probably close enough for today. You know, it'd take quite a while of like little micro adjustments to get it sounding exactly the same. The point is we made a clap, fits the role of everything we need, right? So from there, we're going to go on to the 808 Clav or Clav. We're basically just going to do a sine wave with a really tight volume envelope. Pitch it up. So the 808 one seems to be in between D and D sharp. We're just going to put it at D. So because of the way the attack is, it's doing this kind of like popping, which we actually want for this specific sound. Since we're imitating the 808 one, it's not really necessary for the sound itself. Like if you want to just like a clean sound, it's like slightly adjust the attack, something like that. But we want the popping for now just to get it as close as possible. We're going to send it to a filter, kind of unnecessary, but we're going to do it anyways while I'm here. Okay, and then we're just going to do a high pass and then have a cutoff about like that. And see, it's pretty much the same. And then I'm going to move it back down to C just because I like things to be set in C. And then I'm just going to record it real quick. So, and then next we're going to go to Cowbell. Cowbell is where things get difficult. So I'm going to put that there as an example. We're going to look at the frequency real quick. So that can be a little confusing, but luckily I know what's happening here already. So I'm just going to explain it to you. First thing we're going to do is we're going to do a volume envelope kind of like this. Something like that. That'll probably work. But actually I'm going to do it in the filter. So I'm going to send this to the filter, then do the volume envelope just like I just did. So the thing with the Roland TR-808 drum machine is that a lot of the sounds were designed with like frequency in mind and not the exact pitch. So you can go and like look up the exact circuitry models or whatever for the Roland TR-808 and it'll give you an idea of how to recreate the sounds pretty specifically. Basically, what we're going to do that is we're going to use saw waves. And then we're going to use 2. We're going to turn the frequency ratios all the way to 0. And then that way when we put in a frequency, it's going to be the exact note that we put in. And this filter is going to be a high pass. Something like that. And then we're going to send it to the next filter just to do a subtle, I would say low pass, but I'm actually thinking maybe a band pass would work better here. You know, something like that. And so the tuning isn't exactly, I don't know what the sample is exactly tuned to or if it's tuned at all. So we're going to look at things with EQ. All right, so this main note here is maybe 828. That's seems about what it is. Or maybe 823, you know, something like that. So the idea is that it's kind of like a fifth apart, but not quite. I also moved the shape up from a regular sine more to something in between a sine and a square wave. And then you can mess with the tuning quite a bit. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to tune it to actual notes. So if we drop the 562 down to something like 523, and then for a bit of comparison, we're going to drop this by a semitone to kind of keep it a little closer. And if we put this to 783, see, it's a little too in tune now. It sounds a little too pleasant, I guess, too harmonious. So we're going to raise this up a little bit more. Get it just a little bit sharp, something like that. And then here, for this, I'm actually going to tune it by about 50 cents down. Yeah, I guess 90 cents down. So it's really close. It's not quite the same. What you can do from there is use EQ, maybe boost this here, maybe a bit of distortion. And then I'm going to cut that low end out. You know, something like that. We're definitely getting really close. And so any final touches, any effects you want to throw on that, that's going to be up to you. And then the next one, we're going to do like this kind of like trap rimshot. It's like a fake rimshot sound. I don't actually know where it comes from, like if it comes from a drum machine or what, but we're going to make our own, so it doesn't even matter. By now, it should be pretty obvious what we do. You know, we make a similar volume envelope, and then it's going to be noise and a bandpass filter. So I'm actually going to use the dual filter. You'll notice the higher frequencies are a little lower in this than in the example. We'd use EQ to boost that if we wanted. It'd be a bit easier than playing with the filters. And then something else we can do is we can actually turn the noise down so that a little bit of that tone from the sine wave comes through. Because, you know, it is replicating a snare. Snare's hollow and reverberates in a tone. So you are going to get a tiny, tiny bit of tone coming through with a real rimshot. I mean, this is completely optional. So, and then you could play different notes to see what kind of tone you want. You know, you should get the idea by now. So that means that we're going to go into one last one, which is the snap. Now, this snap is actually just a recording of a snap. And if you have a way to record, you may just want to record your own snap. Same with claps. If you record a clap on its own, it's going to sound bad. But if you layer it and like have them slightly staggered, then you can get a sound pretty similar to the claps that you would normally hear in music production. But so anyways, onto the snap. This is going to be a lot like the last one, a lot like the Rimshot. Basically going to start it all the same way. You know, short volume envelope, turn the noise up, send it to a filter, bandpass. The difference is we're going to have very tight resonant peaks, and so the way to do it with this one is we turn the resonance down, actually. I don't know why that's the way this filter works, but... So we're going to have something like that to start, and then we're going to send it to the next filter, and then I'm going to do a low pass, actually, and then turn the resonance up really high to kind of get that high end coming through. And then if you wanted to, you could use EQ to emphasize different peaks and maybe carve out some of these like middle frequencies so you get it even closer sounding. You know, there's all sorts of stuff you could do. I'm just going to kind of leave it there from now. I'm going to do one last thing to kind of show you what I was talking about earlier. So I just saved that new snap, and then so what we're gonna do is we're gonna, you know, have like the bass snap like somewhere like there. I'm gonna turn snapping off. I know, that's kind of funny. Or turning snapping off to make snaps. And then we're gonna do slightly staggered snaps at different pitches. You know, and you kind of just play around with it. But if you do that and throw some kind of reverb on it, that's normally what a snap in like a R&B song sounds like. You know, something like that. But yeah, that's pretty much going to be it for today. I was mainly running you through these things to set you up for the next video, which is going to be on snares, because a lot of snares are layered with these kinds of percussion. I also think the different techniques will help you a bit in understanding some even more advanced concepts that we'll go into. And you know, a big part of it is literally just, if it sounds good, it sounds good. That's sound design, right? Like I always say, if it sounds good, save it and use it. But yeah, that's going to be it for today. If this video helped you at all, be sure to hit the like button. It helps me out a lot. And also leave a comment down below. I like hearing from y'all. And then, of course, subscribe if you want to see more. Like I said, I'm going to do a video on this on snares. That's probably going to be it for sound design for a little while. There is more stuff I could get into. It's just not sure people are too interested in it. I'm mainly thinking of looking more at music theory now. I feel like music theory kind of gives a wide, like there's a wider range of people looking for music theory stuff. So, you know, if that's what people want, I guess that's what I'm going to do. But so yeah, that's going to be it for today. See ya.